The one they do in the government class. I guess you can actually you have to do one within 3 days, right? And there are much people that even if have a friend of mine
What's up everybody, Dave here. Thanks for watching this video. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an arm wrestler from Perth, Australia, and today I'll be talking about East vs West 2. I'll be talking about some of the matches in it, so there will be spoilers, so if you haven't seen that and you don't want it spoiled, probably best to skip this video. I'll also chuck in some footage of yesterday's training at the Armoury Armwrestling Club here in WA, but let's get into it. So East vs West 2, one of the greatest cards ever put together for arm wrestling. Just a paradise of arm wrestling super matches really. I think there was about 16 matches, best of fives, and from pullers all around the world, with some of the biggest names in their weight classes. So the production, I thought the camera work and the angles were really fantastic. They captured a lot. There were a few hiccups here and there with rewinding and replaying over and over again, going funky, shaky cameras just drifting off into nowhere. But by and large, the camera work and the amount of angles that they were utilising was really awesome. And one of the best things about it was the pacing. I thought the pacing was really snappy. They got onto each super match really quickly. And that's about the shortest amount of time you could possibly put that many super matches in. And I think kudos, it was really, really good. So some of the negatives that I found about the event, I thought the commentary was really poor. Engen jumped in, I'm not sure, like Giannis, Amelins and Coach Ray were commentating for a while. I'm not really sure who the commentary was for. Well, at the very least it was for arm wrestlers, experienced arm wrestlers, because that's basically what it sounded like, a bunch of arm wrestlers just kind of chatting with each other. And I think having no native English speaker, at least for an English speaking audience, it made the whole thing suffer just a little bit, because I think the translation of enthusiasm was a bit lost. There was a couple of times where Engen was just like, this is an amazing match, except he would say, this is an absolutely amazing match. Really incredible, and they're going into a hook war. Wow. So I love Engen, but I think that's more of kind of a language barrier, and the emotion and the excitement didn't translate too well. But I don't think anyone was paid to commentate. It was just one of the things that I think really let down the production as a whole, was the commentary. There was sound issues, obviously. There was massive amounts of static for extended periods of time. Just normal stuff, and in those cases you just kind of mute it. And there was a bunch of other commentators on YouTube that you could put on their commentary and listen to that over the footage. But that's just a general negative. And also, I wasn't able to see all the matches live because it was the middle of the night, and then I had to wait something like 12 hours, or maybe not 12 hours, maybe 8 hours before the VOD came online for the actual footage. So that was a bit of a downside. Overall production, the whole event, massive kudos to Engen. Incredible. I really hope he made some money, a lot of money, at the very least made his money back, because it'd be awesome to see these in the future in different locations. So maybe the next one can be set in the US or something like that. But kudos, go and buy the pay-per-view, even if it's after the fact. You can't watch it live, but just support Armwrestling, and it's a great show. Alright, let's get stuck into the actual matches. The meat and potatoes. The best match of the entire evening, I think, was without a doubt Ron Barth and Zurab. Don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I just say Zurab T, who's like a WAF champion at 85 kilos, bulked up to nearly 100 kilos, and my goodness, his arms, forearms, they were so huge. He looked incredible. And Ron Barth just kind of looked strong and big, but that match was a killer match. I briefly looked at the length of the footage, and their super match went for about 40 minutes on right arm compared to all the other matches. So that was a mega match, and very, very close. And it reminded me a bit of WAL, some of the things that were going on in that match. Ron dropping really low, straight arm, pronating. But it was great entertainment, and kudos to Zurab. Kudos to both of them. It was a great entertaining match. I think the most impressive performances of the night, considering expectations of how the matches would go, I think were three in particular. Todd Hutchings dominated in the hook. His hand just looked incredible. His arm looked incredible. Didn't even need to go to straps. When Jordan Sonev tried to top roll him, he was able to contain it completely, shut it down completely, and he just looked in cruise mode and looked mega. Then of course, John Brzenk, the GOAT. That was an incredible performance. Who knows how the injury that Zoloev got at WAF carried over to the super match. It seems clear that he looked alright in the first, at least not injured in the first round. Just he kind of they went into a hook and he was like, oh, I got nothing for John here, and John just ripped through him. And then in the second match, it looked like Zoloev felt his injury, if there was one. John just clamped and caught his hand and just did John things. What an absolute beast. And then I think number 3, even though expectations were already very high of him, I think he still looked insane. Evgeny Prudnick, complete control, looked awesome. Would have been great to see some more matches with Evgeny, but it was nice to see him in a match, and he looked awesome. Yeah. So I think the last thing I like to talk about, just keep it nice and simple and brief, is the match between Michael Todd and Gennady. I think that may be Michael Todd's last match where he's pushing for number 1 in the world. He had a live stream very shortly after his match where he kind of indicated that the amount of effort and energy and sacrifices that he was making to get even to the level that he was against Gennady was something that he wasn't willing to continue. Too much sacrifice, and you get to the point where there are health concerns as well. So I thought Michael was going to win. I think a lot of people thought Michael was going to win, and I think what really let him down was his hand. I think his hand wasn't there. And we saw that Gennady really had nothing versus Hermes once Hermes took his hand. He was in their match versus Hermes with Hermes and Gennady. Hermes took his hand basically from the static setup. Basically, his hand was buckling, and all that strength and power and side pressure that Gennady had kind of went nowhere. And that seems to be the key to beat Gennady, is to take his hand. And Michael has been known to have a really good riser, a really good pronator, but he was not able to do it. There were a couple of instances where he was able to lever up with his King's move and gain a lot of height and even crack Gennady's wrist just a little bit, but he wasn't able to hang on to that. And plus the fact that his setups looked so terrible. Basically every setup that I saw with them in the straps, Gennady had so much hand control and height and everything, basically like a Devon-like setup, really high, really deep, and can just cover Michael Todd's pronator so much. And I know Michael has been accustomed to arm wrestling in that position for so long, and he says he's very comfortable, but I think it's starting to show. Maybe as either other people are coming up to his level or he's dropping a little bit, that's killing him, not being as smart and as good in the setup, as savvy. He said also in his live stream that he thought the strap was a little too loose, but setup stuff, that's the responsibility of the pullers. And I didn't see him fighting for height or to protect his pronator in the setup at all. And maybe just Gennady's hand was too strong, but I think that lack of expertise in the strap setup for Michael Todd contributed to his loss in this match. And considering that's a large reason why Devon dominated him, was in Devon's dominance in the setup and height and depth that he was getting. It's unfortunate that, in my mind, Michael's losing in an extremely similar way against Gennady. Having said all that, Gennady looked awesome. He looked strong. His hand and wrist looked really good. His power looked really good. His energy looked really good. So, keen to see more of him in the future. Anyway, guys, those are my thoughts, my ramblings about East vs West 2. You can add it to the collection of a million other pundits on YouTube commenting about the event. But let me know what you guys thought. I really enjoyed it. It was a long arm wrestling extravaganza, but it actually was really well put together. Pacing was really good. Cameras were good. There's a few production things that would definitely need to be improved to make it watchable to non-arm wrestlers. And of course, it hurts the production if you have to mute it for 50% of the time because there's static going on. But anyway, those are production things unrelated to the actual arm wrestling. Yeah, but anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you've made it this far, you're awesome. Hit the like button if you liked it. Let me know what you think about the event, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers, guys. What?